to learn a little about Dr. B R Ambedkar. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar was born in 1891 in a Mahar community, an untouchable caste of Maharashtra. In 1913, the Maharaja of Baroda awarded scholarship to Dr. B R Ambedkar to pursue higher education from the University of Columbia in New York. From 1913 to 1917 and again from 1920 to 1923, he lived overseas. He had established himself as a leading intellectual at his time. He received a PhD from Columbia University for his thesis, which was later published as a book titled The Evolution of Provincial Finance in British India. Despite his achievements, Dr. Ambedkar had to face discrimination and orthodoxy from all fronts. Dr. B R Ambedkar was a global personality with in-depth knowledge of law. He studied all the progressive constitutions of the world and designed the Constitution of India. He worked towards eradicating social evils and discrimination on the basis of caste, class, color, gender, race, and language. He relentlessly worked towards giving justice and dignity to the marginalized sections of the society. Dr. Ambedkar played a significant role for the upliftment of the downtrodden sections of society. He was considered as a messiah for the suppressed class. His personal experiences relating to caste discrimination shaped his outlook and thus began a journey to represent and help raise the voice of the voiceless sections of the society. Dr. Ambedkar recognized the evils of the prevailing caste system and its impact on the oppressed human being. This also led to the founding father of the Constitution of India to create an egalitarian society wherein justice, social, economic and political rights would be extended to all irrespective of their caste, creed, religion or gender. Dr. Ambedkar on caste system. Dr. Ambedkar saw the caste system as an unequal mode of organization of social relations which embedded within itself the notion of purity and pollution. He argued that this system was sanctified through religious codes which had several restrictions. The caste system with its strict rules forbade any intermixing between castes. There were also restrictions on social intercourse and interaction was permitted within a regulated structure. One of his critical works is The Annihilation of Caste, which was an undelivered speech he wrote in 1936. Dr. Ambedkar claimed through his writings that the Hindu caste system does not allow change of occupation even when it is required in an industrializing society. Hence, the caste system which advocates division of laborers than division of labor is the actual root cause of poverty. Dr. Ambedkar founded the Bashishkrit Hitkarni Sabha with the aim of spreading education and improving the economic conditions of the oppressed classes. He led by the slogan Educate, Agitate, Organize towards reconstructing Indian society on the principles of equality. In 1927, he led the march at Mahad, Maharashtra to establish the rights of the untouchables to take water from the public Chardar lake. This marked the beginning of anti-caste and anti-priest movements. Another landmark step in the struggle towards ensuring equal rights is the temple entry movement led by Dr. Ambedkar in 1930 at the Kalaram temple. Inspiring works of Dr. Ambedkar. A critical inquiry into the inequality of the caste system has been the central theme of all of Ambedkar's works. Who were the Shudras? How they came to be the fourth Varna in the Indo-Aryan society is among the earliest works of Ambedkar, which attempts to debunk the colonial absurdity of Aryan non-Aryan theory. This book reflects his stance on the question of caste and provides the much-needed course correction in terms of public discourse in India. The Essential Writings of B R Ambedkar is a compilation of selected writings of Dr. Ambedkar, which serves as a guide to the evolution of Dr. Ambedkar's thought. Against the madness of Manu, Dr. Ambedkar's writings on Brahmanical patriarchy provides insight into the practice of caste endogamy and prescribes it for national interests and imposes new codes on Brahmin women. Ambedkar on women's emancipation. In his 1916 research paper titled Castes in India, The Mechanism, Genesis and Development, the 25-year-old Dr. Ambedkar offered an insight that the caste system thrives by imposing sanctions and control over women. He also observes that caste is a product of sustained endogamy. Regarding the outcome of endogamy, he maintains that scholars have spent more time charting how sati, child marriage and enforced widowhood impacted society but never bothered to investigate the origin of these customs. He highlighted the dual benefit of Brahmanical ideology of endogamy, which worked to preserve as well as eulogize the very practices that degraded women. In Dr. Ambedkar's view, three operations central to the origin and development of caste come to the fore: intra-group organization of reproduction, violent control of surplus women's sexuality, and legitimating control practices through ideology. From that time up to the introduction of the Hindu Code Bill, he sought to radicalize women's rights in the 1950s. Dr. Ambedkar deployed a range of arguments to make his case against Brahminism and its twin patriarchy. Dr. Ambedkar was a strong critic of the old law books like Manusmriti and Arthashastra, which reflected a sense of bitterness towards the suppressed class in general and women in particular. Dr. Ambedkar was highly influenced by the conduct and humanism of the great social reformers like Buddha, Kabir and Mahatma Jyotiba Phule. He equivocally declared that untouchables must leave the Hindu culture and accept another religion instead, and led by example by embracing Buddhism. Father of the Indian Constitution. As chief architect of the Constitution of India, Dr. Ambedkar made special provisions for the empowerment of the marginalized sections of the Indian society. He was given the responsibility of the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly and as a Minister of Law in the Nehru cabinet. He was elected to chair the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly in 1947, and while doing so, Dr. Ambedkar abandoned many of his radical ideas as he steered the Assembly through the process of drafting the Indian Constitution. His concern for the oppressed class is seen in some of the special constitutional provisions for social equality for the scheduled castes. The practice of untouchability was abolished in the Constitution of Independent India, Articles 15 and 17, and the Untouchability Offences Act of 1955 clearly states that such discriminatory practices would be punishable by law. Article 46 provides the Indian version of affirmative action, specifically in terms of the state's responsibility in providing education and economic benefits to the weaker sections of the society. He also outlined the terms and conditions on which the depressed classes would consent to place themselves under a majority rule in a self-governing India as follows: equal citizenship and fundamental rights and the practice of untouchability to be declared as illegal. Equal rights protected by adequate constitutional remedies. Protection against discrimination. Adequate representation of the oppressed classes in the legislature. Adequate representation in services. Redress against prejudicial action or neglect of interests. Securing the rights for education, sanitation, employment, health, recruitment, and other matters of social and political advancement of the depressed classes. Dr. Ambedkar and Gandhi. Dr. Ambedkar was not happy with the stance taken by the Indian National Congress and with the outcome of the Pune Pact of 1932. He became critical of the lack of commitment to the rights of untouchables by leaders of the time. Dalits continue to feel that Gandhi betrayed them with his denial of the right of separate electorates and by extension denying genuine political power to the Dalits. Gandhi was a caste Hindu and a Vaishya by birth. Dr. Ambedkar was a Mahar and had experienced and witnessed discrimination closely. Gandhi held all Varnas to be equal. Although he fought against the idea of a group below the Varnas, he never rejected the Varna theory of four major groups. On the other hand, Dr. Ambedkar totally rejected the entire caste hierarchy and dismissed the current trend among untouchables to Sanskritize by imitating the customs, beliefs, and practices of the higher castes in a bid to raise their own status. Gandhi did not believe that there should be political battles to secure the rights of the untouchables or approve their attempts to enter temples unless this was agreed to by the temple authorities. Dr. Ambedkar argued that only political power could ensure the rights of Dalits and solution to untouchability. Gandhi's faith in ahimsa and satyagraha led him to believe in a change of heart, whereas Dr. Ambedkar's trust was in law, political power, and education. Dr. Ambedkar's contribution is valuable in terms of the social and political thought and denouncement of Brahmanical attitude. His fiery writings and speeches brought about consciousness of the political, economic, and social problems of the untouchables and paved the way to address their concerns. Among many of his contributions, the greatest one was in respect to securing fundamental rights through the directive principles of state policy enshrined in the Constitution of India. For Indians, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar is not only a historical personality, he has metamorphosed into a symbol for collective aspirations and an icon for the emancipation of the oppressed. Thank you for watching the presentation. Do like, subscribe, share, and leave your comments about this presentation or any other topics you would like to learn more about.